Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second week of our sixth annual Hispanic Farmers and Agricultural Professionals Symposium that we are conducting by a series of webinars throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. If you missed last week's webinar, go check it out on our YouTube channel. So just kind of an overview of today's program. We're going to begin with a presentation on data, then a short Q&A after that. And then Monica Melancon Hernandez has prepared a video for us talking about her role in agriculture in Louisiana. Unfortunately, she's not here for a Q&A today because she is needed in an FSA committee in St. Landry Parish, but that's good. That's what we like to hear. So anyway, if any questions for her, we will field later on by email or what have you. So if you could just send in questions for that with your email address attached, we'll get to those later. But without further ado, I'm going to get my presentation up and we'll do some data dives. So today I'm going to share a bit of our secret sauce. Mano-Y-ola has always done outreach with a heavy focus on data and sort of an initial dive into data. So I want to share sort of our mixed method approach to how we use data to guide our outreach. It's a word that becomes more and more popular and prevalent as the years go on. And so we want other organizations and agencies to maybe understand how we use data and how they could use data that they also have sort of in their archives to improve outreach to underserved landowners. Kind of an overview of what I'll be going through is sort of the outreach challenges that are faced for agencies and NGOs doing outreach to underserved populations, and how that mixed method approach can kind of help overcome those challenges. And then the importance of capturing your data as well, which is something that I don't think often gets covered, but that we have found to be very important in the programs that we've rolled out for forestry, farm landowners, pasture landowners. Capturing that data has allowed us to really do something powerful that adds to that body of work and knowledge on these landowners. So the challenges of reaching out to underserved landowners, I think many agencies and groups understand, is that first, it's expensive. Outreach is costly. It's worth the investment. Hands down, it is worth the investment, but it is a sizable cost that I think is prevented when people are working with just shoestring budgets. Geography, knowing where to start is very difficult as well, especially with groups that agencies haven't done outreach to in the past. So knowing where those groups are is oftentimes one of the biggest roadblocks that we've seen. And then lack of trust. There's oftentimes a lack of trust because of historical inequality, discrimination, perception of federal and state agencies. So we believe that this mixed method approach has a little something to kind of help in each one of these categories and sort of lower those barriers for agencies to begin to engage in successful data-guided outreach. So these are the tools that you need to be bringing to that mixed method. It's both an art and it's a science, and one doesn't work without the other. And the art is the ability to do interviews, to do networking, communications, the ability to sit in a room full of folks and really sort of take in everything that's being said, know what's important, know where your effort is trying to go, and get the value and the jewels out of that networking, to build a network of folks that aren't necessarily maybe in natural resources or agriculture, but are sort of part of the community as a whole, and identify who those folks are that can get you to these landowners that you're trying to address. Communications, the ability to put out information in a way that is understandable, is clear, digestible, but also gets your point across. These are three ingredients that the arts bring to this mixed method approach that are worth their weight in gold. And then the data, the science part, I mean, data exploration, somebody that knows how to comb the internet and find these data sources, the ability to visualize that data, and then measurement of the program and your progress and contacts and things of value to the longevity of the project as well. So it's sort of it is a balance of these two. You know, if you've got somebody that understands the arts really well, but doesn't have the sciences, they can go out into a state or a region and they can start talking to folks, but will they be in the right area? Will they be talking to the folks that they need to be talking to? Will they be recording that information? You know, how are we measuring that? And then you've got the people on the science side that, you know, if they were just left to themselves, they would, you know, probably do some data analysis and put a report out into the world. And who knows, some people might read it, some people might not. So it takes a synergy between these both sides. So MYO's secret weapon, it's the drill, I guess. And we've been working on how to kind of conceptualize our approach for a while. We've talked about it as a funnel, we talked about it as sort of a, you know, through an org chart. But I'm thinking now, as I'm seeing it, it's sort of like this drill. Now, bear with me on this. On one side, we've got the data, and on the other side, we've got this kind of art and outreach portion. And so many of our efforts, they start at this really high level, you know, with the US Census data that kind of points us in a general area where let's say Hispanic landowners are in the United States. So starting at that top, we've identified that, let's say, the state of Florida is a state we want to work in based on the numbers that are there. Well, now that we've identified that, we kind of rotate around and we begin to use that art side to reach out to leadership, to make the connections, to do interviews with them, to ask questions, you know, about where should we be looking next? Is there more data that would help us sort of dial our outreach down? Florida is a big state. That leadership then says, well, I'd recommend you looking at the ag census and maybe these certain categories. So then we've kind of refined and narrowed our search in that rotation. And now here we are on that data side again. Now looking at that ag census, we see that in these counties, there's this number of Hispanic forest landowners. Well, then we pivot over using our art side again to interview experts and district conservationists, those people that are specific to those counties and that region within the state, to further pinpoint exactly where we want to target that outreach. And then it pivots back again to specialty data. Now, this will depend from state to state, effort to effort, you know, whatever your focus in is, pasture land, woodland. But then again, it helps us refine our search even more so that when it is time to commit the big bucks to outreach, we've already established a sort of methodology and a rationale for why we are in that region. It's backed up by data. It's backed up by, you know, expert testimony. And we've also built relationships along the way that can carry that outreach through, you know, with partners and folks that we've met on the way down. So it's a way that the data and the art of, you know, networking and interviews and creating partnerships kind of comes together to create this really sweet outcome that we've been able to replicate over and over again using the same idea. This is sort of, you know, again, this is a breakdown of how we actually used a program in Florida to implement this methodology. So starting again, US Ag Census, we knew we wanted to be in Florida. We talked to an expert at the NASS, at the National Agricultural Statistics. I forget what the last S means. They pointed us to RegStats, which RegStats gave us county level data on Hispanic pasture landowners Pivoting back, we talked to NRCS state cons that were in Florida. The state cons recommended that we, check out this Protrax data. We took that Protrax data, we were able to refine our search even more. Then we pivoted using a sort of climate smart data app that we created to capture our own data, which I'll get into a little bit later. We were able to meet with the district conservationists. And with those district conservationists, they were able to sort of open us up to their network of existing Hispanic pasture landowners, and we're able to recruit 150 pasture landowners for the Climate Smart project. So it's a methodology that I think is quite powerful. I wanted to give you guys just a sample of what the data side looks like for us. So I've just done a little screen recording of sort of a refinement of that. This is using that RegStats data that the NASS pointed us to, and the StateCon for Florida pointed us to as well. And you'll kind of see, oh, it's got sound. That's weird. Okay, now we're good. So here, now that we've got this data, we can go over and select Hispanic land ownership. So we can see 500,000 acres in Hispanic land ownership. And then we can refine that search so that we are looking at Hispanic pasture land ownership in the area. Now we can see this little green belt right here going from Manatee all the way over to St. Lucie. And that is as clear of an indication as we need of a place where we should begin our outreach. So that's sort of how the data side works for us. This is more of the art side of that same project. We've had existing contacts with NRCS for a long time. Edwin Moss is one of our greatest outreach advisors. He's been with us for years and years and years. And working with Edwin on one project, Edwin was able to reference us to Juan Hernandez in Florida, who is the state conservationist. That state conservationist said, you should talk to this guy, Ismael Reyes, who's a retired NRCS grazing specialist, program specialist, all around the guy to go to in NRCS. We spoke with him. We told him about our project. He said, I'd like to help. And so he became our chief agronomist in Florida. And through that art of building connections, we were able to sort of build a relationship with Maiello to where he could say, this is where you should look. This is how you should approach things. And by the time it came to put boots on the ground, even though it may have taken us, possibly 6 months to kind of build out this system, as soon as we hit the ground, we got results. Currently, we are in sort of our 6th month of working in Florida, and there are 3 workshops going on the island for Climate Smart, with over 50 pasture landowners recruited in Florida to participate in the project. Actually, we just got word that one of them has been canceled because of the hurricane. Shout out to everybody in Florida and on the East Coast. Hope everybody's doing okay and safe. But anyway, so as you can see, the art gets results as well. But once you've used this drill to get down to that population that you're trying to serve, I would also encourage folks to continue to collect that data, that the data doesn't stop. More than likely, when you're working with underserved landowning populations, there's going to be data gaps. There's going to be questions and things that people don't know, or or things that people want to know. I can remember there were questions that state cons or grantees would ask us about these landowners because there wasn't any information. Oftentimes there's large data gaps. So as you're working with these folks, capture that data, capture what their interests are. This is sort of an example of the data that we've captured working with forest landowners in Puerto Rico. Like from this, the 50 landowners we're working with, we've sort of been able to capture their preferences and their challenges and some of their landowning characteristics to help us build our program so that it's more responsive. But also when folks ask us, what do what should we do? What should our program be? Or how could we change things in the way that we do programs on the island? We can say, well, they're interested in cultivating crops in their forest. There's a level of interest in carbon credits and conservation finance. There's an interest in developing ecotourism, environmental easements, so you can become a data source as well. And I think that's a missed opportunity that a lot of projects don't quite take full advantage of when they're doing their work. And we've been really fortunate to, again, kind of come from this data background into a more outreach background. And so that's always been at the heart of how we do things. We've always collected the data that we get in interviews and interactions with landowners and then use that. So here is another opportunity to kind of share with the general public how we do that as well. This is just, again, a little sample of how our database works and what it looks like. We run through and we do this survey that captures a lot of different information. We've got the ability to upload files that show, maps, important documents for these folks, and kind of keep that all in one central database. And then later on, we can pull that information to kind of generate reports and inform how we do things. But also, if people ask us, we'd also like to inform them as to how they could do things. So don't miss the opportunity to begin to create your own data, would be my 2 cents. So just a review of what we've gone over, of how the mixed method really helps is that it really helps focus outreach through using that data and that expert insight to focus where you're doing outreach, which will save money. It will, give you an accurate geography so that your time isn't wasted either. It also allows you to build trusted relationships on the way down, where you're reaching out to other agencies and you're getting to make those connections, and folks are beginning to know about you in the professional space as well, which can be just as important to opening doors as getting to know landowners. And then become the data source would be the last point that I would want folks to sort of explore and play around with, because there's so little information about the populations we've worked with. And I can say, because I've done a lot of the data exploration, and anything that can be used to sort of highlight needs or goals of these landowners could truly help to possibly change policy and how we approach folks in the future. All right, well, I think we can just roll into Monica's video. Monica Melancon is somebody that we've been working with for 5 years. And when I say working, we really just been sort of tagging along as she just is on this. She's a superstar. She lives in St. Landry Parish in a town called Sunset. It's a beautiful section of Acadiana. And her and her husband, Tim, have been building a farm for a while now. They both are second career farmers. She was a regional manager for a series of Macy's, a series of department stores. So she kind of brings that business background to the farm, to Moise Farms, as well as her husband worked in the petroleum industry for a long time. So he brings a lot of technical know-how to the table. Together, they've got a beautiful livestock and cropland farm, I believe in the neighborhood of 80 acres. They grow grass-fed pork, grass-fed cows, and they're all chickens. When we met, Moise Farms was really interested in developing more capacity on farm to process their meats. There was a big issue with the pandemic, first of all, shutting down a lot of slaughterhouses, then there being these long lines, making it really impossible for smaller farm landowners to be able to process their livestock. So Monica went on this David and Goliath journey to get a processing facility built on her land. And, we kind of talked about opportunities that were there. And I've talked about opportunities with multiple farmers. It's seldom that you talk with somebody that goes, give me all of that. And she went for it. She applied for the value-added producer grant through rural development. She has been very involved in FSA and getting FSA loans, FSA crop insurance, but also has been so involved with FSA that she is now a member of the state committee, I believe, which is the reason she can't be here today. Anyway, fast forward 4 years later, she got a processing facility built on her land successfully. She was able to go through all of the rigmarole with the inspection, health code safety, truly a monumental effort in bureaucracy that she was able to navigate, both her and Tim. And then now they have just broken ground on a slaughterhouse as well. So she is going to have a sort of cottage industry, fully approved slaughterhouse on her land that allows her and her husband, Tim, to process everything that they grow as well as their neighbors' livestock as well, and turn that into sort of regional meats. I don't know if you guys have been to Louisiana, but the food is really good, and Tim has a lot of old Cajun recipes, so they'll be making boudin, andouille, and all their own meats on farm, which is for small farmers out there, this is really exciting. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Monica and let her do her thing.
Well, thank you, Adrian, very much for the introduction. I'm very, very excited to be here and be able to share with everybody about all the ventures that we've had, that we have learned, that we have started. And I hope that maybe a word or something I say can become an inspiration for someone to be able to move forward in their dreams or any particular project that they may have in agriculture. As you may not know, well, you do. I'm Spanish, from Spanish origins. However, my dad is Chinese, but I've been living here in the United States for a long time, and I had many different career paths. I went into management, sales, real estate, but the last 7 years, I have been very involved in agriculture. There are very few Hispanic agricultures, and I'm very humbled to be part of one. I'm not a young person, but however, because we're starting from the beginning, we can relate to the new farmers, the new generation, and that's what we need to have. We have to encourage the new generation to do more farming, and there's a lot of opportunities. We started from zero. When we started the farm, we had really pretty much nothing. It was just a pretty 30 or 40 acres that we had with a little pond. However, our drive to be able to eat healthy, being able to provide for ourselves some nutritious foods, the way that we had before that I had before when I was growing up back in my country in Peru, products, or items that taste better, that they were healthier, drove us to start our little farm. When we started with just a couple of pigs, Winnie, Minnie, and Wilbur. So by that, we said, we thought we were gonna just have some pigs and just process them and eat them just for ourselves. Well, we encountered a lot of people that had the same idea. They wanted to eat healthy. So they started asking us if we would sell our products. At first, that was not our plan. We just wanted to, like I said, eat healthy, have little chickens and the meat from the pigs. So we started to think about this and said, my husband being in agriculture before, he wanted to come back and actually be able to be sustainable for ourselves and be able to produce for ourselves. With that desire of eating well, we decided to create the farm and started producing. We are very heavily in livestock. We do a lot of value-added products. However, we started, like I said, with just a couple of pigs, and that inspired us to grow. We first did a few things in value-added products with our pigs, such as sausage, which is very simple. People liked it. People liked the flavor. People reminisce of good food. So inspired us into grow and do other products. From that, we decided to be able to process our products at the farm. So not only we would raise animals here, but we will also process them. So with the assistance, we started looking for loans we got a little discouraged. We looked at commercial loans, and even though my husband had a very high credit score, the terms of those loans were very, very high and very difficult to obtain. So therefore, we went and decided to go to the USDA FSA office and investigate about what programs they have for assistance for new farmers, disadvantaged farmers, and beginner farmers. So just by doing that, learning what's available, meeting the people, telling them about our project that we wanted to produce and process for ourselves, we learned that there are a lot of available tools from FSA and that we wanted to take advantage of. So by using that, we decided to first build a very small, and I'm talking about a very small processing building to be able to process our products for value-added product. That, as we learn more about the FSA loans, we found out that the terms are really extremely beneficial for new farmers. So we decided to, instead of doing a very small building, to actually do a small processing plant. So being said, we make the loan and the terms were very favorable for us. We were able to build our processing plant. It's been operating for now 4 years. We've been very successful. From pigs, we decided to expand into lamb. We do lamb that is pasture raised, grass-fed, grass-finished. We do meat chickens. We raise also hens for eggs, and we have some cattle. Our main product, obviously, and because we love pig and pork, it is, our pork products. However, because we have the processing facility now, we're able to increase our potential for value-added products. One person might not buy or eat pork one day, but they might eat chicken. So it gave us the opportunity to reach and expand our markets. And that has been very, very successful. Well, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years, 3 years ago, we encountered challenges with harvesting our animals. So with the pandemic, the slaughtering facilities were busy. We couldn't have places to slaughter our animals, to harvest them. We were wondering, if we were not able to harvest our animals, can we move our farm forward? Can we grow? So we've been pondering about this for the last 2 years. And we have decided last year that it was time for us, and our farm would support the growth of building a small harvesting facility. We're talking about 1,800 square feet that's going to accommodate all the harvesting for the animals that we produce, also animals from other farmers, and for custom products for local people. So I think the reward that we're going to get, to be able to process more products, increase our facility, our products and volume, is going to be very, very important for not only for us, but for the local economy. We have 4 people in our staff, so we're able to provide jobs for those people to support their families. So last year, our loan was approved, and we're spending about $600,000 to build our harvesting facilities. So from 2 pigs to having a small plant, and now having a harvesting facility, state of the art. I think we're being very humbled and happy. And we've been very rewarded with our work. It's all coming back. People love what we do, and that encourages us to do more, to give back to the community, to be able to do healthy proteins, meats, value-added products for people that want to live a healthier lifestyle, to be able to help them in their health journey against illnesses. We have a lot of people that are sick, and they understand that the food that is provided now is not as healthy as it should. So they come to us looking for a way that they can nourish their bodies. They're starting to learn that what they eat is what they become. And if they have illnesses, it's because some of the products out there have not been raised properly. So our goal is to be able to help people have a healthier lifestyle. So we have started the process of building our facility. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility with rails, it's a cooling space, storage space, hanging coolers to be able to add more carcasses into our storage facility and be able to process a larger number of animals. We are very happy with the addition. And if I look back 7 years ago, I would have never thought that we would be at this stage. We just never dreamed that we could achieve this much. Being a Hispanic, a woman in particular, sometimes we came out with a lot of challenges with roadblocks. My advice is that there are many roadblocks out there, but if you research and you believe in your product, you believe in what you do, you will find the way to be able to achieve what you want to do. It doesn't have to be livestock. It could be produce. It can be fruits. It can be jellies or jams. There's a niche for people. I believe in no waste. So everything that we produce are animals. Every part of the animal, there's a part that is usable. 100% of it. We have created homemade mayonnaise. We do beef tallow, lamb tallow, things that were thrown away. That are being thrown away by the other harvesting facilities. But for us, it's a valuable product. It's something important that is valuable to somebody else and to one of our customers. So we have been very successful to be able to provide what customers want. One thing that is important is we from the beginning, we always wanted, we talked to our customers and we wanted to know what they wanted, what they feel, what they're looking for. So we open our ears and listen to what they were telling us. And that helped us create the line of products that we currently have. We're not saying that what we have is great. I think there's still a lot more room for improvement with other items, but I think we're very happy that we have achieved and we are to where we are today. Right now, I believe I'm very encouraged to continue to what we're doing. We are going to be the first farm in the state of Louisiana where we are going to produce the proteins. We're going to harvest them, we're going to process them, and we're going to sell them directly to the public. So that's been unique in the South. I think it can be a model for other farmers to be able to do something similar in a larger scale or a smaller scale. It can be done. There's an opportunity for other proteins, rabbits and quails, and there's so much out there. People are looking for things. We have been featured in many tours by the local universities, LSU and Southern University, where they are trying to make us as a showcase for the new generation of farmers to see what we're doing, how we started, and how they can do it and apply for the students. So in the last year, we've had tours from the universities. We also had tours from the Women in Ag for Louisiana. And we were very humbled that they chose us to come and see what we're doing, learn what we're doing. And also, we were very fortunate that 3 years ago, we competed to earn a value-added grant. Grants are very important for the agricultural community. They're not easy to get, but if you do, again, your research, you learn what you're doing, and you find your niche, it can happen. We were awarded 3 years ago a value-added program grant in the amount of $285,000, which is a very sizable amount. It was a matching program, but it was very beneficial because it helped us grow being able to buy equipment, be able to pay most of our payroll. And it really helped our bottom line. And it gave us the encouragement to be able to grow. We have grown pretty fast, I believe, in the last 3 years. But because we put all the basics, I believe the basics from the start, with the research that we did, with asking questions, what was needed, with our goal and our plans, I believe that we have a even better and greater opportunity for the future. And I believe that anybody can do it. I believe every person out there can do and obtain their goals. You just have to focus on what you need, what you want to do, what you love to do, and find your niche. I think that's very important. I never would dreamed before that I would be involved in agriculture. I'm a city person, and I was raised in the city. However, the lifestyle it's that we have now in the farm, we eat our own proteins. We actually eat from the land is very, very rewarding, and I don't see it any different in the future. So I give a lot of encouragement that if this is something that you would like to do, get involved. There's ways, and there's a lot of programs out there that you can utilize. With the opening of our facility, the state-of-the-art harvesting floor combination with the processing plant is going to open us a lot of doors for the future. We see ourselves in 5 years being able to provide some awesome products, proteins to our customers, and our business steady as we have, reaching more people that want to eat healthy, that want to eat our products. Also, beginning farmers that would love to learn on what we do. I'm reachable. Right now, I am part of the FSA State Committee, which I was appointed by Secretary Vilsack 2 years ago. This is my second year serving, and I'm very humbled for the opportunity to be able to serve the agricultural community. So there's a lot of opportunities. However, if there's something that someone needs help, there's help out there. And there's a lot of farmers that are willing to help, are willing to share their knowledge, are willing to share their stories, and their humble beginnings. In terms of goals, with the opening of the facility, like I said, it's going to open so many other doors. Right now, we are operating only within the state because we are state inspected. However, with that, it gives us the opportunity to go USDA, meaning that we can sell and send our products across state lines. Now, for that's going to be a totally different volume of business. So we will have to plan and prepare for that. But it's not impossible, and I see it happening. We get calls from people many places in the country that wants to get a hold of our products, how they can buy them, getting in touch with us. They see our farm, how we have grown, and they want to be a part of it. They want to get in touch with us. They want to get our products. They want to learn more about what we do, and we would love to share and grow with what we're doing, and the sky's the limit.
Well, thank you, Monica, or I will tell you thank you later, Monica, for that fantastic section on women in agriculture. And I mean, everything she's done on that farm is amazing. I miss living in Louisiana and being able to go out there and visit with her and Tim, because every time they're leaps and bounds ahead of where they were the last time I saw them. And they also always send me home with honey, which is nice. But anyway, I'd like to field any questions that we have for Monica around her presentation. And we've actually got a couple here in the chat, and I will do my best, but we'll also forward these along so that she has an opportunity to answer them as well. First one here is, what kind of networking opportunities would you find valuable for farmers? Well, I would say, Monica is an expert networker. She she found so many other resources before we ever came into contact. Um, but I think that's also one of the big challenges. Monica is not a traditional farmer and comes from a background where that sort of networking is encouraged. And I think providing more opportunities for farmers to network is something that we try to provide. But I think also, not necessarily having events that are about just plugging programs and going through the PowerPoints, but giving farmers the opportunity to communicate amongst one another. Because oftentimes the best teacher or the best person to convey an idea to a farmer is another farmer, and creating that peer-to-peer communication is really powerful. Now, I mean, we we worked to sort of bring together other Latino farmers from the Louisiana area, and we're able to have sort of a gathering, a couple of gatherings, and sort of some knowledge sharing. There were multiple hog farmers sort of in that group, and so they were able to kind of talk about their different techniques. They were able to sort of discuss how they've found challenges in getting their meats processed, or where they were finding successes, and were able to sort of do have that peer-to-peer communication that is so valuable. I do think there are more events that are popping up, that are being put on by groups like INCAT puts on the Latino Farmers Conference in California. There's one that is also held in Albuquerque. I do not think there is one in the Southeast yet. There may be one in Florida that I don't know about. But having those opportunities for farmers to all come together and sort of look at each other's models and sort of study and share is something that I think we could, as agencies and NGOs, begin to provide more. Let's see, we got another one. Based on MYO's outreach work, what are some examples of long-term goals for many farmers? Uh, that that really that really varies. It's kind of a big blue ocean. Um, I'd say, Monica's Monica's approach is one of the more common ones of, I want to produce food. I'd like to produce food for myself, for my family, for my community, um, and continue sort of, in some cases, like agricultural legacies from the place where I'm from, or the place where my parents are from. Like Monica, for example, was growing ají amarillo, which is it's a yellow pepper that's really common in Peruvian cuisine. And so she was working on getting a greenhouse set up to be able to grow that. Tim, her husband, he grew up on a farm, eating off the land, and he wanted to continue sort of his family's. He's Cajun, and he wanted to kind of continue his family's legacy of producing meat on the farms. And I think there's a lot of farmers that feel that they've got a mission that is also bigger than themselves, to sort of go back to the land in a way, because they think that they're one of the last generations that remembers living on the farm, and having access to these products, and that if they don't do it, then the next generation is not going to have any connection to that, and there's going to be total knowledge loss. So it's less. I mean, there's also profit and like sustainability, but very few are in it to get rich, because that's not really an option. Small in small agriculture, it is really to have a sustainable, nutritious, community focused farm that allows them to continue that lifestyle and to sort of promote and teach. That's been I think another common thread is the promotion and teaching, like having folks from the universities, from, organizations come out and learn on their farms, sort of, they're not just uh, um, a base, they're not, it's not just nutrition for the body, but also nutrition for society, maybe in a way, of keeping this agricultural knowledge within their communities and being able to show that, the that a steak doesn't grow in a supermarket. This is where it comes from, or this is where it could come from, if we all sort of um, thought about ag a little bit more locally. So I would say that's all I've got for that question. Are they interested in adopting sustainable practices? I think, I mean, Monica kind of answered that herself, in that she does not believe in waste, and that is true. I mean, she is saving the fat from the animals she harvests. I wouldn't be surprised if she starts making marshmallows out of the bones. She's just kidding. But I think that she is very into sustainability and conservation, on two fronts. One, because it's better for her crops, it's better for her land, it's better for the pastures, it's better for the animals, which is better for the quality that she produces. So it's not solely just it's good for the earth and good for the environment. I think being a sort of new operation and new farmers, they've been able to approach agriculture from a less crystallized and set in their ways mindset. And they've wanted to sort of absorb all of this conservation knowledge. And I think this is something that, I think there's a lot of conservation projects that are focused on like large landowners and convincing large landowners to implement these practices. And I think there's a huge market of small landowners that are way more likely to take full advantage of practices through the NRCS, because they are approaching it from a blank slate, or from a position where they want to learn, as opposed to, I know how things, are supposed to go, like many large landowners are. So I think that there is a huge potential for conservation, adoption, and innovation, amongst, small, and traditionally underserved landowners. Let's see, any other questions? I think that's all we've got today. So I'd like to thank you all for coming out and showing up. And oh wait, do we have one Q&A? Sorry. Okay, we've got one from, oh, I recognize that name. She mentioned the importance of getting youth to engage in agriculture. What are some creative ways to get teenagers engaged in something that is seemingly slow benefits, like agriculture, within the context of the fast-paced world we currently live in? Good question. I think that how you do that is you visit farms like Monica's, and you see the outcome. You see the lifestyle, and I think, yeah, you can experience sort of the finished product, even though it's never quite finished. I think you can get a sort of a sense of what you're working towards, and what's possible through these farm visits. And I think that's why those farm visits and networking opportunities are so important, because you step onto Monica's farm, and it feels, you know, out of time in a way. It's very, you know, you step out there and the cicadas are popping, and she's got this beautiful little pond and a cabin by the pond, and you see the livestock, you see the bees, you see the greenhouse, and I don't know, it's slow and fast at the same time. There's so much going on in this one little area, that, you know, I think it shows how busy and how rewarding the work can be, if you stick to it. So I would say that's really the best way to engage like the youth, is like show them that there is an alternative, to the way they think about, you know, their future and their careers and what success looks like. And going to these farms is a great opportunity. These small farms, is a great opportunity to show them that there is a way to live that life. And I hope I answered your question. Okay, I think that is the last Q&A we got, and I would like to thank you all for joining. I would like to invite you all to join us next week, next Friday at 9 a.m. for the Hispanic Landowners panel. We're going to have some very good friends of ours, from Victus, as well as Finca Bienestar, doing some farmer panels, talking with landowners. I actually featured some of Victus's work, in the presentation today on data, so you'll get to sort of see that more fleshed out, talking about this large, agroforestry project they're doing on the island in Florida. And then also talking with Eddie Berto and some landowners that he's been working with on the Hispanic Forest Land Outreach Project. So both are really exciting, and truly both of those individuals are a class act. So I hope you'll join us at 9 a.m. on Friday, and thank you all for coming.